Miami is looking to clinch their first national title since 2001, but to do so, they have to get past a juggernaut in the Indiana Hoosiers, a perfect 15-0 who are just steamrolling everybody in their path. But here are 3 reasons why Miami could end up winning the national championship. Let's get into it right here on the Gridiron Expert. We're not even going to delay it. Let's talk about it. 3 reasons why Miami could win the national title. We're going to have our official national championship prediction for you on Wednesday. But the number 1 reason, among many others, these aren't the only 3 reasons, but among many others, is balance. Look at Miami's offense, especially in the college football playoff. Look at what they've done, especially on the ground. If you can establish the run, your offense can really get rolling. It's not like Miami has a bad quarterback. Carson Beck is a very, very good quarterback. If you can bully some teams up front in the line of scrimmage, create lanes for your running backs, set up the run, it sets up the pass, right? And Miami's done a phenomenal job of that over their last couple games within the playoff. Against Texas A&M on the road, they rushed for 175 yards, 6.3 yards per carry. Against Ohio State, one of the best defenses in the nation, 153 rushing yards, 4.1 yards per carry. And against Ole Miss, 191 rushing yards, 3.7 yards per carry. You'll look at that and go, well, the yards per carry average are going down. You know, that's bound to happen when you run the ball like 50 times like they did against Ole Miss, right? The running game is working. Mark Fletcher has been phenomenal. We entered the playoff talking so much about Carson Beck and Malachi Toney. I don't think a lot of people were talking so much about the Miami run game, which wasn't non-existent throughout the regular season. It was there. It was fine. But I don't think Mark Fletcher in the ground game was getting that much talk. They should be now. Fletcher, 395 yards in the playoffs alone on 58 carries. That's an average of 6.8 yards per carry. 6.8 yards per carry. So this running game is thriving for Miami. Obviously, going up against one of the best defenses again in Indiana, one of the best rushing defenses in the country in Indiana. But if they can rush for 153 against Ohio State, they can rush for 153 against Indiana. I truly believe that. And we said balance. I want to focus on the run. It's a big deal. I wasn't criticizing Carson Beck because the running game's working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the Hurricanes really didn't push the ball down the field against Texas A&M. They really didn't push the ball down the field against Ohio State. They did against Ole Miss. They finally opened up the passing game, and it worked. Tons of big plays. Carson Beck, 2 touchdowns, 268 passing yards. That doesn't even include the game-winning rushing touchdown that he had in the final seconds. He is playing extremely well. Even against A&M and Ohio State, where he didn't throw the ball that much, when they weren't lighting it up in terms of yards, he was taking care of the football. And that leads me to the next point. Miami has been winning the turnover battle. If you want to beat Indiana, you're going to have to win the turnover battle. And they can force turnovers. You look at the games they played within the playoffs. That's point number 2. They didn't win the turnover battle against Ole Miss. That's fine. What they did do against Ole Miss was completely dominate the time of possession. That goes a long way. You're going to dominate time possession too if you can force a lot of turnovers. So while I didn't win against Ole Miss, they did win it against Ohio State, where they won it 2-1. One of those two turnovers was a pick 6. Big time momentum shifter, setting the tone early against the Buckeyes. Gave them a 14-0 lead. They ultimately won 24-14. They won it 3-1 against Texas A&M, including the game-winning interception in the end zone in the final seconds. So 5 turnovers in 3 college football playoff games. 5 turnovers against 3 of the best teams in the entire country. You look at Carson Beck, that's the defense, right? And I could sit here and state the obvious and talk about the defensive line and the amount of sacks and the amount of pressure that Miami's done. We'll talk about that in our prediction on Wednesday. That's an obvious reason why Miami could win this game, is because of how fantastic the pass rush has been for Miami, right? But I'm looking at this turnover battle as a whole. The fact that the defense is creating takeaways, the offense is capitalizing on them for the most part, and that Carson Beck and Mark Fletcher, the offense as a whole, has taken great care of the ball. Carson Beck has 1 interception in 3 playoff games. Came against Ole Miss. 1 interception in 3 playoff games. He has 2 interceptions in his last 7 games. So it's not just that he's taking care of the ball during the playoffs, it's that he's taking care of the ball for, nearly 2 months now? He had 2 interceptions in their loss to SMU, one of them coming in overtime. Since that SMU loss, again, that was the last time Miami lost, he has 2 interceptions. 2 interceptions in his last 7 games. Indiana has 0 turnovers in their 2 playoff games. They steamrolled Oregon, they steamrolled Alabama. Indiana only has 3 committed turnovers in their last 7 games. Something's got to give here. Either the Hoosiers will continue to take fantastic care of the ball, and Miami's just going to have to hope to force some 3-and-outs and some stops and pressure on Fernando Mendoza, or this Miami defense is going to continue to surprise all of us, continue to play at a very elite level, and force some turnovers off of the Hoosiers. And if they do, you got to hope that the Hurricanes do, in fact, take advantage of it and get some points on the board. But winning the turnover battle has been their MO for the last couple games, has been certainly the case during this playoff run, a major reason why they're in this position. And if they can do it just one more time, they absolutely can claim their first natty since 2001. Finally, the third reason. Again, a lot of other ones. These are just 3 I really wanted to focus on. The third is sustained drives. And what does that mean? It's pretty obvious. They dominated the time of possession against Ole Miss. Dominated. I mean, they held the ball for 41 minutes? I mean, it was a ridiculous amount of time. And someone would say, yeah, it's still concerning that they held the ball for 41 minutes and still almost lost. Sure. When you're facing a team like Indiana, who has the Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback, who can run the ball at will on you, who, again, have one of the best, most efficient offense in the country, ideally, you'd like to keep that offense off the field for as long as possible and basically limit the amount of possessions that Mendoza and this offense will have. Miami has proven they can do that. In the playoffs alone, the Hurricanes have 10 drives that have resulted in points, either a touchdown or a field goal. 10 drives that have resulted in some sort of points. 6 of those 10 drives have lasted over 4 minutes. It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm all for scoring quickly. I'm all for an 80-yard bomb. Anything to get the crowd on your side, the momentum on your side, anything to get points on the board. But you don't want to give Mendoza that many opportunities. You don't want to give them the ball that often. 6 drives over 4 minutes. All 3 of Miami's scoring drives against Ohio State, they did have a pick 6 in there, but all 3 of their offensive scoring drives against Ohio State were over 5 minutes long. Against Ole Miss, Miami had 2 drives, resulting in 10 points total. 2 drives last over 7 minutes each. Those 2 drives overall lasting over 15 minutes. So for over a quarter of the game, Miami held the ball and got 10 points out of it. That's impressive. That's good. And that's what they need to continue to do. Yes, if the home run ball is there, take it. If Mark Fletcher breaks off on a 50-yard run, take it, right? No one's going to complain about that. But Miami's ability to sustain long drives, to convert on third downs, to keep that offense on the field and slowly march down, gives their elite defense a lot of time to rest and catch their breath, and keeps that Indiana offense off the field a lot longer. So think about it. A 7-minute drive for Miami, touchdown. Indiana comes out on the field, you force a 3-and-out, or maybe Indiana gets to go for 7 plays and you force a punt. Then the offense trots back out there and they take 6 minutes off the clock and get some points out of that. That's a recipe for success. That's a recipe to win a national championship. And that is certainly something that Miami has proven they can do, and something that if they can continue to do on Monday will lead to a national title. The final little bonus point here, just to touch on, is maybe the obvious home field advantage. We give Miami a lot of flack, over recent years. Like, Hard Rock's not that difficult of a place to play. They don't have that great of a home crowd, whatever. But, 9 times out of 10 for big-time games, they show up and show out. So, literally, the game is being played at their home stadium. You couldn't ask for a better setup. Home field advantage. The Hurricanes are 18-3 at home over the last 3 years. They are 13-1 at home in the last 2 years. They went undefeated there in 2024. They went 7-1 there this year. That lone loss, a loss to Louisville. They lost by 3 points in a game where Carson Beck turned the ball over 4 times. Not very characteristic. Probably not going to happen again. Probably not going to happen very often. 13-1 the last 2 years, 18-3 in the last 3 years. That could play a big role. Indiana fans have shown with the Rose Bowl and with the Peach Bowl, they can travel extremely well. They're excited for this team, for this program, and rightfully so. But you would expect things to be, at the worst, a 50-50 split, if not more so, with it being literally in Miami's backyard in their home stadium. That could go a long, long way. Having more Hurricane fans there than Hoosier fans in your backyard. Not very often that team gets to have that opportunity. Miami gets it. Could be setting up for a perfect storm for them to clinch their first national title since 2001. So there you have it, guys. We're not saying that Miami will win this game. We're not saying Indiana's going to win this game. You have to wait till Wednesday to find out what we truly believe will happen. But those are 3 reasons, again, among many others, I want to continue to stress that Miami could walk away with that national championship trophy. A wild, wild season where the Hurricanes just barely snuck in, and now one last test. One last test. They've won in College Station. They've beaten the reigning champions. They've beaten maybe one of the hottest teams in the country in Ole Miss. Now just one win away from a national title. They've got to take down the undefeated juggernaut in the Indiana Hoosiers. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to tons of exclusive content that we do not want you to miss out on. Go check it out. Become a member of our GE Nation today. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.